During my presentation, I will discuss data from a qualitative study that I have been developing at State University of Campinas. It aims to reflect upon the ways in which young Brazilians, members of Japanese pop culture fandom, produce, distribute, and enjoy video clips created from remix of Japanese animation called anime music video, or AMVs. First, I will briefly characterize the way fans of Japanese pop culture constitutes what is known as otaku culture and have historically shaped the international AMV community. Second, I will introduce you to Shinzo, a young Brazilian guy who has engaged himself in a multilingual practice in order to participate in the AMV community. Finally, I'll present to you his ascension in the AMV community and how during this process he became bilingual and how he used English to be active in the AMV community. But first of all, I think it will be important to describe what is an AMV. AMV is video remix, new creations built out combinations of materials borrowed from Japanese animations and assembled with Western music in a kind of video clip. AMVs are concrete representations of transnational cultural flows. They follow traditions related to otaku culture, which results from the dialogue between Japanese pop culture and Western pop culture. For instance, Aqua Satellite, an AMV produced by Shinzo, illustrates very well this. Aqua Satellite is composed of the song Satellite by Ocean Lab, an English electronic music group, and it's edited with multiple Japanese animes. In Aqua Satellite, Shinzo established proper synchronization between the progression of the images, but not only with the rhythm of the song, but also with the lyrics. With this AMV, Shinzo has demonstrated that he's able to handle semiotic and other language resources, hybridizing different cultural reference and showing that he masters the forms of audiovisual representations required for the creations of video clip as this. So now I will briefly characterize the way fans of Japanese pop culture constitute what is known as otaku culture and how they have historically shaped the international AMV community. So during the 70s and early 80s, access to animes was very difficult. VHS imported from Japan were rare and expensive. However, with the advent of VCRs during the 80s, Japanese anime fans began to copy and distribute clips to fans outside Japan. From this practice, clubs with lending libraries appeared, and as soon as the technology permitted in the late 80s and early 90s, fans from countries other than Japan began to produce their own subtitled video clips. Then, with the growth of the industry and development of anime, AMV became part of meetings and conventions held by Japanese animation fans. At first, AMVs were displayed at the end of anime shows. Over time, however, they became popular and stood out as an important part of these conventions. And during this period, also the first AMVs competition took place. Competitions serve as a kind of catalyst that shape many of the key elements of AMV aesthetics, such as the division of AMVs into categories as comedy, fun, drama, action, and so on. The same categories that we found today in online communities. The ability to publicize Japanese animation in the Western world constitutes one of the fundamental characteristics of otaku culture and anime fandom. So the otaku ethics sees the ability to access, translate, transmit, and produce original remix video as a valuable and as a statement of commitment within their community. In the AMV online community hosted at animemusicvideo.org and referred to by its members simply as the org, is based on the same otaku ethics. Now I will briefly describe Shinzo's history and ascension in the AMV community, how he became bilingual, and how he used English to be active in the AMV community. Rafael Alves Bezerra, who likes to be called Shinzo, is a young AMV producer who lives in Recife, the capital of the state of Pernambuco, Brazil. Our discussion will be informed by the analysis of two of his AMV productions, Aqua Satellite and Around the World, and by ethnography research data from an extended semi-structured interview with him. When we asked Shinzo how his interest in Japanese pop culture and AMVs emerged, he said, so here we can see the importance of championships and of the org in the development of Shinzo's interest in AMVs and as an editor also. But while it's quite accessible and open to new members, the online community also encourages editors to constantly engage in activities of distinction and status acquisitions. In this sense, the org established a well-marked division among the editors. It clearly defines who belongs and who doesn't, as we can see here. The prominent position of Shinzo within the community, according to him, was reached after the success of his AMV Around the World. In preparing this AMV, he used a specific version of the song Fireflies, originally composed by the band All City. In this AMV, Shinzo synced the song rhythm through cuts, image, and light in order to highlight the music chosen to compose the project. And also he used some select animes to illustrate or emphasize what is being said in the lyrics of the song. The AMV edited by Shinzo actually constitutes a kind of comment on the song and on the anime selected from their personal cultural collections. We can say that his multilingual, multicultural, and multimodal cultural capital is reconfigured, that is recollected in order to establish a dialogue between the worlds of Western pop music and Japanese animation. And then when we ask Shinzo about the role of English in the AMV scenario and in his life, Shinzo explained to us that during his formal education, he, like the vast majority of his colleagues and young people who grew up in the outskirts of Recife, had no time or financial conditions to become proficient in English. But Shinzo reveals that luckily, however, he managed to pick up some English through his involvement with the AMV community. But it's not as if he has uncritically embraced English. He has appropriated English by recreating it. I can use English in my own way, he said. So by using it not in a native speaking manner, but in a localized version of this language, as often happens in peripheral countries in the world, and with his ability to use English compound with his technical connoisseurship, that made him stand out and become part of the elite group of AMV editors. So to conclude, today Shinzo can be considered a successful professional. He has his own design company and he manages a site called nlstudio.com.br about Japanese pop culture news, a space that has become a benchmark of anime fans in Recife and among other Brazilian AMV editors. So Shinzo's trajectory exemplifies the trajectory of quite a number of other young Brazilians we have come in contact with. So coming from the poor outskirts of urban center, as Recife, São Paulo, and Rio de Janeiro, many have resorted the new literacies and multilingual practice and participating in the AMV community. So they have learned how to use video editing. Meanwhile, they have also been able to creatively appropriate English, making it possible for them to have their work known and appreciated abroad.